Hello, everyone, and welcome to Break Into Law School. I'm your host, Lavetta Jenkins, and today I'm talking to Kevna Patel. She is a guru of all things LinkedIn and brand building, and we're going to talk all about you, your brand, and how to get off on the right foot and create a great start for a future. Hello, Kevna.
Hi, Lavetta. Great to be here.
I'm great to have you on. We've got a lot of things that we want to talk about, but I feel like I know you, but let's let everybody else get to know you. Tell us a little bit about your background and who you are.
Of course, my name is Kavna Patel, and I have been in the legal industry for about 7 years now in various different roles, ranging from talent management to talent acquisition to DEI, as well as human resources. I am currently in Los Angeles, but I was born in India. I migrated to US when I was about 10. And currently, I am a single mom of two amazing boys.
Yes, and I know they've got to be amazing because their mother is amazing. So you do a lot of different things, but first, DEI is a hot topic right now, and it's a hot button for a lot of different people. What's changing, and how are we going to be navigating in those waters in the months to come, in your opinion?
There is a lot of noise and change out there. In my opinion, I think, DEI is something that just should be woven into everything that we do on a daily basis. And it's not just checking a box. So if it's already part of your values, your culture, how you approach situations and people, then there should be no issues.
Now, I don't think so either, but a lot of people think DEI is just diversity in skin color. You and I both know that it's not just that, it's diversity in all different types, even down to opinions, correct?
100%. I tell people this all the time that, with DEI, we have to look beyond just the skin color. It's about diversity of thought. It's about diversity of experiences. If I don't have an attorney in my network or someone I know, that's an experience that that is diverse to me, and that I should reach out and learn more about that particular, topic. So just like a religion or just like another person's family background or their practices or whatever it is, I feel like we need to look beyond a lot of surface level DEI and really just understand that it's more about diversifying ourselves as a whole, and learning, educating, and growing.
Yeah. Speaking of diversifying ourselves, there's a few ways of doing that, but I know there are some that you are expert at, and that's networking and brand building. Now, if we've got somebody out there who's, young lawyer or young getting into all of the legal things, and they wanted to work on brand building, first of all, tell me why they would need to.
Yeah, that's a great question. And, being in legal, especially a leader in recruiting,
Mhm.
I will say brand has really changed of, again, what we kind of envision and why it's important. We always talk about the best law students or students in general. Might not always be the best job candidates. That's the question, like why? Everyone might have a degree or a JD, but like what really sets you apart? I remember when I was little, my parents, very hard workers, of course, migrated from India. And they were like, just work hard, get straight A's, like you'll get your rewards. And yes, that is important, but that's only one part of your brand, right? And it's really important to have all the pieces together of a brand to present it as well. I feel like, if I'm doing something, and if I have skill set or if I have a particular experience, or I should be able to, um, what's the word I'm looking I should be able to um, demonstrate and
Mhm.
showcase all of my talents and my experiences because that is really what is important and paints a full picture of who I really am to the recruiter or to the hiring partner or to an admissions counselor or whoever that is looking at you, right? I think it's also very important to be mindful when we are building our brand. We want to look at going beyond just like the numbers, no, like looking at really, um, as a recruiter, I would look at, leadership, personal branding, networking, some of the practical skills and real world experiences that you have had, adaptability and growth mindset that you might have through your experiences and through your resume or LinkedIn that I've been able to see, the grit that you possess, the proactiveness in your approaches, like those things are really important. So for example, if a student has been involved in mock trial, at their school or outside of their school, or they've done community service or pro bono work. They have had an externship with a judge. They've attended a networking event that we have hosted, and they followed up genuinely, consistently, and have, attempted to build genuine connections with attorneys, the recruiting staff, to really let us know their interest. I think, LinkedIn is another avenue. As soon as someone applies or someone reaches out, yeah, I Google them. First thing I see is their LinkedIn profile, and what we'll kind of talk more about that or dig deeper. But that is your 24/7 resume, some of your legal writing samples that you might send over, public speaking, organizations you're part of, things of that sort. So there is a lot, and you don't have to do all of these things, of course. These are just examples of some of the things that you could use that you're passionate about or that you're already doing to build a fuller brand for yourself.
So I'm going to stop right here in the brand building and go back to LinkedIn. Why is it so important, in your opinion, to make sure that your LinkedIn isn't A, blank, or B, just full of things that are unorganized? How important is it to really have that under control?
I think it's very important. Like I said, that's your 24/7 resume. But again, you're painting a picture on your LinkedIn as well. Just like, you spend hours and hours on your resume, trying to think about what experience you want to include, your extracurricular activities or skill set. In the digital world, LinkedIn is your 24/7 resume. And it is really important to note little things go a long way. So for example, having a professional picture, it doesn't have to be professionally taken, but at least, not a selfie, or making sure it's clear and you're able to, see the picture, but also, connecting with people that you've met through networking, is really important to build that for yourself on LinkedIn. The articles that you have liked or the articles that you have posted or written, the college you went to, the organizations you're part of. I think it's just, again, a clear and concise picture of who you really are digitally. So I would really look at LinkedIn as your paper resume going digitally into the internet world.
hmm So that means I got to do a little cleaning up on LinkedIn. Now, back to brand building. Like, how would anyone start? Like, say there's someone now who's kind of thinking about it and they want to make sure that they put themselves forward properly. How do you start with brand building?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when you think about brand building, you really need to first assess what your goals are. So thinking about where you want to be 5 years from now, right? And work backwards. It's more, so I think all of us are kind of aware of 7 habits of highly effective people. And one of the things that's noted in there is begin with the end in mind. So you want to think about where you want to be visualize 5 years from now and what are some of the steps that are going to help you get there, because this is not going to happen overnight. Your brand is not just, I mean, yes, there are certain things you can do, actionable items that we can talk about later that you could do today to start that process and short-term, long-term goals. But at the same time, this is going to take few years for you to accomplish where you want to be in 5 years, but you do have to start today. I think that's why that's where you should first start. Also looking at all of the things that you attempt in brand building, being mindful of, the your return on investment, right? Like I said, you don't have to do everything, but what is actually, one, beneficial for you, two, working for you, and kind of navigating through that throughout the years, as you think about refining your brand, is important. And then just if we want to talk a little bit about how to continue building your brand, it's definitely through various different means. Networking wise, I would say, you have to look at, it's who you know versus who knows you. What I mean by that is we talked about creating meaningful connections and following up with individuals. I cannot stress that enough. I can go to an event and I can meet an attorney and I can say, hey, I know this attorney, but at the same time, does that attorney know me? Did I follow up with that attorney and say, thank you, it was great meeting with you. Can we have a coffee chat? So if I do reach out to that attorney, like, oh, yeah, I remember Kavna. And I think that is important because that is when you know your networking is actually working.
Actually working, yeah.
Yeah. And then also just, looking within your community and being involved, taking the initiative, to do a lot of different things. Like, for example, you could launch a blog, you could join a nonprofit organization that you resonate with. You could, like, for example, if a student is interested in sports law, and they have started to learn a lot about sports law, connect with attorneys. They could start a podcast interviewing sports attorneys or interviewing clients and how they use the attorneys, right? And just learning more about that. So taking that initiative is really important in the brand building aspect as well.
So we were talking a lot about brand building, networking, things of that nature. What would you say someone should do if they wanted to network with someone they met at, like, say, a mixer or, some type of bar event? What should they do to follow up with that person that they've met?
So first things, remember names. So, write names as soon as you are done talking to them on your phones, being mindful of the name tag and how it's spelled and just remembering names. I cannot stress that enough because then you won't even know who you're sending an email to. The second is to follow up with an email within 24 to 48 hours. I recommend 24 hours because they meet so many people through these events. But if not 24, 48 hours, you at least want to send an email to follow up. And within that email, there's a craft on how to structure that email as well. Short and simple. Hey, I met you at this particular event, letting them know the event name. It was like one sentence that they can connect you with. So it was great talking to you about your experience as a USC alum. Okay, something that they can relate to, one sentence. And then I would love to talk further. These are the available times that I'm available next week. Would you mind just, doing a coffee chat or virtual 15-minute Zoom interview, not interview, a Zoom call, right? And It's really precise. All they have to do is reply to that and say, yes, I'm available on this day. 15 minutes is not a big commitment when you're asking for half an hour, or when you're leaving things open for them to reply to or think about. They're more likely not going to respond to that email. But when you make it easier for them on that, follow up, and then you can talk about and ask questions and, dig deeper, or remind them of further conversations you've had. So I think that's what I would recommend. It is very important if they don't reply within that email, if they don't reply to that particular email, then you should wait about a week. And within that week, follow up. Following up is important, but also being mindful of other people's times, right? You don't want to follow up every day. You don't want to, call them after you've sent them an email without following up, things of that sort. So definitely be mindful of that, but at the same time, be persistent, and reach out to everyone that you've met. Because out of the 10 reach outs, you might just be able to have 2 conversations, which is okay.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to ask you, of all the people you meet, how many you should reach out to. Everybody is the answer. Everyone. And
Everyone. It's like a resume. When you send out multiple resumes, you're
right.
not going to get a reply from every single resume that you've sent out. Same thing with networking, same thing with other approaches that we take in life.
Hmm. So, of all of these people and all the networking we're doing as we're on this brand building journey, how important is it that we have someone who's also a friend or like an ally to us?
It's very important. Mentorship is something that I I recommend to everyone and anyone. One person can really change the trajectory of the rest of your career. You meet someone that knows someone else that can connect you to someone else, and you might not see the fruits of your labor today with networking, but you are going to able to see it's a small world. It's a very small world, especially legal is a very small industry. Everyone knows everyone. So, having good ethics when you meet people and follow up, if if you schedule a call and you don't show up, like they're going to remember that and they're going to tell their friends and they're going to tell other friends. So, going back to mentorship though, I cannot stress that enough, especially, especially keeping in mind that a lot of people think that you just need to have one mentor or one partner that has your wing person or whatever, your friend. You should have more than one mentor. Don't be afraid to have multiple mentors. Maybe someone, I might have a mentor who might talk about single mom life and career and, those types of topics versus another mentor that might be a leader within the legal industry who's also in recruiting or development. I might have another mentor who is Asian as well, because I might resonate with them on their experiences and the culture aspect of things. So it's okay to have multiple mentors. You can learn from multiple people, and knowing that their advice is very valuable, but at the end of the day, you have the best advice to be able to make the best decision for yourself.
You said it's okay to learn from multiple people. And I know that you and I have had past conversations about multiple people and one person needing to be multiple people. Now, on this journey to building your brand and building yourself and networking and everything, it's also important to show up as you, but a different version of yourself, wouldn't you say?
100%. I completely agree with you. I think, we have to learn how to still be authentic to ourselves in all areas, but at the same time, show up with a filter. For example, I am not going to be the same person I am with my sister versus my kids versus my parents versus work versus my mentors versus et cetera, et cetera. You get the picture.
Mhm.
Or even my friends, right? With every friend, it's also different on how I show up and how I connect with them, right? So that does not mean that I'm not there. Kevna is still there, right? My core values, my approach to a lot of my life and my experiences, all of that is still showing up, but there is a filter,
Mhm.
and I'm being mindful of who I'm around. I'm being mindful of the audience. I'm being mindful of my brand, really, with
Mhm.
that particular person, right? At the end of the day, when I walk away from that particular situation, um, I want to feel like I was myself, but at the same time, the best version of myself for that particular situation.
Ooh, that was perfect. Yourself, but still the best version of yourself for that particular situation. I know there's a lot of, college kids, and I say kids, but it's definitely people 25, 28, people in the earlier 20s who are thinking now, oh, I probably shouldn't have posted that on social media, probably shouldn't have done that. Do you suggest that people go through and clean social media and kind of, take
100%.
things down or make things private?
100%. One of the key takeaways I have today is to Google yourself.
Ooh.
And not just Google, but also like your, like you mentioned, Instagram account, TikTok account. When I Google you, I am able to find more things than you think, especially if I dig deeper. And again, this is building your brand.
Mhm.
So, what do you want represented for yourself, right? These are like pieces of the puzzle that make you who you are.
Mhm.
So, all these pieces of the puzzle speak a story, right? Um, there was a conversation with a particular student that I had, and that they had overheard another student make snarky remarks about another student, and they were paired as mentors later on, 2, 3 years later, within a same law firm that they were at. And
Oh.
again, things come back to you, right? Things come back to, I'm not saying you have to be perfect all the time, but you do have to be mindful of how you are presenting yourself in all these situations on these platforms. And if you want to, if you're okay with the portrayal of your profile and think that that is true representation of you, that's great. But yes, please go back and look at all of the different platforms, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, and comments that you've made or things you've shared. As soon as I connect with someone on LinkedIn, let's say today I connect with you, tomorrow you're posting about a article or you are posting about a position, it'll come to my profile as Lavetta has liked this particular article or has commented on this particular situation or posted this particular um, um, job position. That can be beneficial for me on a lot of different aspects because your network is now my network. But at the same time, that can be harmful as well if you use it in the wrong way of making comments that you shouldn't be making. And same thing goes for Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram.
Ooh, yeah, definitely is a cause for now people going back and looking over things before you get too far out. Branding yourself, as we've said multiple times here in the podcast, you are your brand.
Mhm.
So you have to represent yourself well. Just like, Beyonce doesn't go everywhere doing everything. You have never seen her really smoke a cigarette or something like that because she's protecting her brand. I can count off number of different celebrities who we've never seen do one thing and their name stays good. But then we know one who did one thing and now you're just ruined because of what you've done to tarnish that. Now, say we have somebody who's maybe caused themselves a little bit of drama or something. How would they turn or change or even pivot their lifestyle or their job now? Maybe they wanted to do like different type of law, but now maybe that's not it and they need to pivot a career. How would they?
Yeah, that's first of all, Great analogy. I love the Beyonce analogy, huge fan as well. And one thing I will say about that is speaking of branding, I will say that your brand is already being created, like you said. So do you want to take charge and shape your own brand now, or do you want to let it shape for itself? Right? You have the capacity to be able to mold your brand however you want, right? If I'm doing something, let's say I won a mock trial competition. If I don't put it on my LinkedIn or my resume, how will anyone even know that that's part of me and that is a skill set that I have? I did not include that in my picture that I'm trying to paint. So you should be able to really mold who your brand and what it represents and what it looks like and what you want to kind of present, right? So love that. Pivoting, I mean, having someone kind of we all make mistakes. There are certain mistakes, of course, that are fixable, certain mistakes that, haunt us for years. However, storytelling, your having a mindful storytelling of your particular experience, negative experience, and turning that into an asset of how you overcame that particular challenge or that particular experience, and showing the grit that you have, the adaptability that you have shown, the growth that you have shown through your experiences. Make it an asset for yourself. A lot of times we are very hard on ourselves as well, and we don't need to be. We have to give ourselves grace so the others can give us grace as well. And, there are other options. There's no one particular path on anything, whether it's law school or let's say I decided to be a nurse and having a great career. And now I'm like, okay, maybe I want to grow and try something different. Well, guess what? There are paralegals that are needed that have medical backgrounds for a lot of the law firms, especially personal injury law firms. They need medical expertise to like medical reports on a lot of the injuries, car accident injuries, things like that, right? No one would have really thought about that, but that is a pivot that you could look into. Within law, there's of course clerkships. There are attorneys that are in leadership roles within law firms. So a lot of the attorneys have decided to pivot to talent management, or they have pivoted to training and developing attorneys because there are CLE programs and all of these things, right? A lot of people that have went into science, let's say they had a passion for science and pursued that, great. Now they're like, well, I have a tickle for something else. And they decide to go into law school, where guess what? IP practice group really is beneficial for students if they have, I mean, sorry, for the firms if the students or candidates have science backgrounds. So for IP attorneys, science background is very beneficial. Or for a healthcare attorney in corporate law, you could have that healthcare science background and be a healthcare attorney. Or entertainment, you could work for a lot of, Amazon or MGM, and now you're an entertainment attorney on the other side, working on contracts or litigation of the contracts and things like that. So there is pivot possible, and a lot of options and not just one way of doing something. However, of course, do your research, reach out to these people that have went through non-traditional paths, ask questions, what are options that are available, and educate yourself on the paths that are possible. But even later on in life, like if you decide to pivot, have those conversations. Again, that's where networking and your brand building really helps you. Having those conversations and say, oh, okay, I am actually looking for another opportunity outside of science. And someone can tell you, okay, maybe you could be a professor, maybe you could be an attorney, like, and then you can determine kind of what path you want to take for the future.
So what I heard was you're never stuck. There's always a pivot. You just got to be able to look for it.
Yes, 100%.
Huh. Okay. I like that one. Any other takeaways? I know we discussed one, but what are your full takeaways that people need to know about branding themselves and making sure that their brand is secure?
Yeah, I mean, there are quite a few takeaways, but I think, one of them, of course, parting thoughts is, your legal career is a long game. Um, and like I said, branding does not happen overnight. So you have to start now. You have to look at what is your brand? What do you want it to represent? And how do you want it to represent? And then taking action. A lot of times we tend to get overwhelmed, have short-term goals, long-term goals. So I'm going to give you a few like actionable steps today, but also like continue with those and additional things adding on to 1 month goal, 5 month goal, 6 month goal, and again to achieve that 5 year goal that you have set for yourself and working backwards. And then also like for all of the sports fans, I will say, they might appreciate this analogy, but law school is like your preseason training,
Okay.
and your brand is what actually gets you drafted. Right. So that's why building a brand is really important, because you have all of these experiences that you've built throughout the years and years and years and years. But how are you going to represent them? And how are they going to help you becoming who you want to be in the future? Right. Um, and key actionable takeaways, of course, first thing is Google yourself. I always tell, you'd be surprised how many people have not Googled themselves.
Mhm.
And, if you have a common name, Google yourself with a particular um, school that you're going to, or your location or anything else to kind of narrow down your search. But also second is LinkedIn. Optimize your LinkedIn. Look at what it is at now. Um, especially with your accomplishments, your professional photo, like we had talked about, connecting and following connections or leaders. So people that you've connected with, make sure you're connected. People that you've connected with outside and networking events and such, or your professors, or any person that has been an inspiration for you, or that you've connected with. Connect with them on LinkedIn. Um, and look at other attorneys, other professors, other LinkedIn pages of these people. What does that look like? What are they posting? Some of the thought processes, things like that. So definitely optimize LinkedIn is the second key takeaway. Third, I would say is ask a peer or mentor of what are your three, what are the three words that best describe you? And that will give you an idea of what your strengths are. I might think I'm a great networker
Mhm.
or a great brand builder or a great communicator. But if that is not the top three from 3 to 4 people, then maybe, it might be my fifth or sixth strength, but it's something that I kind of know that I need to work on, or if it's important for me, I can really think about that particular strength and how to use that for my brand building as well versus the skill sets that I need to develop. The fourth would be send 3 outreach messages to the people that you have connected with, whether again it's professionals at networking events. And if you don't have 3 people you've connected with already, do cold outreach with 3 people you'd like to know or know something about them or their experiences, and do that coffee chat that we talked about for 15 minutes. And the last is attend an event in person within the next month, whether it's within your community, whether it's service related, whether it is a bar association event, but some sort of a networking event. And there are so many amazing organizations out there that you could connect with. So that is what I would recommend.
Mm. I think that you have given us a very good blueprint to kind of build our brand here. Now, say there's someone out there who wants to find out more about you. Where would they go to find you or to network with you?
LinkedIn, look me up on LinkedIn.
All right. So I thank you again, Kavna, for being my guest and sharing all of this wonderful information with me and with everyone else. Thank you.
You've been amazing. Thank you so much for having me.